back to My Early 2000s. I'm your host, Will.
And I'm your other host, Daniel.
Yep, and we're back again to talk about more movies from the early millennia.
Wow, I wasn't expecting the early millennia. I was just surprised by the word millennia. Threw me off.
And he's super fucking excited today.
I am pumped, William.
Are you pumped?
Yeah, I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to record. I'm also ready to drink this beer that we have.
Before we get started, just like every episode,
we are going to drink a nice cold beverage.
What is this one,
Daniel? In the form of beer.
What is it?
It is called a California Creamin'. Actually, a Cali Creamin'.
Mother Earth Brew Company.
Vanilla cream ale.
Can is very condensated.
It is blue, light blue.
Is condensated
color.
the word?
Let's see how this.
That's right. It's a can this time, people.
Oh dear. That's nutty.
You know that. This might be the first time I'm not super into what you brought home.
You don't like this?
I don't know if I don't like it as much as it tastes like cream soda more than a beer.
Yeah, I could see that. But I kind of like that.
It's so sweet.
It's very creamy.
Like, I'll get through it.
I like it.
I'll chug it down like a hummingbird, but...
Well, I like it.
Oh, vanilla bean. That's what it is. There's a vanilla.
Yeah. There's a nice vanilla flavor in there.
So if you've ever been drinking a Coors Light and you're like, you know what this is missing? Some vanilla ice cream. This is for you.
That, I wouldn't agree with that statement, but...
Cheers.
Cheers.
And now that we're ready to go, let's dive into the first film. Or let's dive into this week's
We've
film.
got one film today.
This is the film.
What movie are we talking about today, William?
We're talking about the 2002 film Catch Me If You Can by Steven Spielberg.
Steven
I
Spielberg.
know, he's a good one. He's a real good one.
One of them.
You seen E.T.?
I did.
Not bad.
It's not. I've seen it. Yeah, you're
Cult
right.
classic. I'm not sure.
It's a cult classic. So anyway, we're talking about another one of his films that's not E.T. It is Catch Me If You Can.
I'd just like to say, this is a fantastically wonderful
It's so
film,
good.
and it just is wonderful.
It's so good. Rewatch it if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's so fun. I honestly thought that because it's a 2.5 hour long movie, I kind of thought I wasn't gonna have time to watch it like all in one.
Doesn't feel like it. And
I watched the whole
This is
thing.
in a time when they didn't make movies that long. With all these Marvels and DC movies, it seems like every summer movie is 2.5 to 45.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like an hour 45.
Oh, it was It felt
so
so
fast.
quick and
just well put together.
Really good.
And I would say, I feel like not as many people know about this one. And maybe they do. Like, it's a very well-known film, but I feel like not a lot of people have seen it in at least 10 years.
Yes.
Like, it's not a revisited film at all. Like, I had kind of forgot about it.
Me too. I know I saw it in sometime in the early 2000s. I remember liking it, and that was it until this week. Directed by Steven Spielberg, obviously. The screenplay is by Jeff Nathanson. It's based on the book by Stan Redding. And
I know that he didn't have very much to do with the script. Like, he didn't see or approve of anything. He sold the book, and he didn't see anything until he saw the movie.
Starring Tom Hanks, Leo DiCaprio, Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen. I mean, just a bunch of people.
So to go back around the time this film was made, it's hard to remember a time like this, but Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't for sure a star yet. He was a heartthrob in Titanic. I remember after Titanic, he kind of wasn't sure if he was going to continue. He was kind of making that transition between child sitcom star to adult actor, and I think he was figuring himself out at this time.
Yes.
People didn't know if he was going to be a big star.
Right.
And they were really hung up on Gangs of New York that had shot 2 years earlier and was still in post-production for so long. So I feel like that's why this film is forgotten. It cements him in time, and it's such a great film, but it's kind of not memorable because it's not the thing you remember him for.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the thing that like gave you confidence in him, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it. It's kind of one of my favorite performances of him.
He's great. He's really great. I didn't... Only to talk about Leo for a second, I became a big fan of his later in his career, like more recently.
Sure, yeah.
Like a huge fan where I was like, he can do no wrong, because he can't. However, the earlier films, he's a little hit and miss to me. Sometimes he's really great.
It does feel sometimes like there's a kid playing an adult, like
Yes.
he's trying to fill his dad's
Right.
suit, is like a phrase I hear from time to time
Yes.
about him.
Yeah, but I don't feel that way in this movie.
No,
I
it's
don't feel that
perfect.
way in The Aviator. There's certain movies down there in those early times before, let's say, Inception, that I'm not always sold, but sometimes he's phenomenal. And this is one of those movies.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's happening at a weird time. Everyone's so excited about other things. Spielberg hasn't done a film like this in forever. He's been in a really dark phase with Saving Private Ryan and Minority Report and all these films that just have this bleak look on the world. And he hadn't tackled the broken home. Like, everything's lighter in this film. It's heightened sense of reality. Like, it's a romanticized way of looking back at that time. And he hadn't done that in so long. So I think we're really lucky that we got to have another one of those from him.
It is a lighter film. It kind of has that same Spielberg magic that you see in the
Amblin style
yes,
film. Yeah,
exactly. And it kind of gives that extra notch. There's like an extra reality to it in that it is a true story. It's based on a true story.
Right.
And that's not something we see super often. I mean, we've seen it before by him, but it is definitely, just one of those things that like kind of makes this whole thing feel closer.
Honestly, my favorite thing that he does is family relationships. What a family does to stay together. And this is like the ultimate how do I keep my family together movie.
Did you see the documentary yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
I've watched.
How is it?
It's really great. It's really great.
That's the Amazon one, right?
HBO.
HBO,
yeah. I just watched it like before this movie, like a week ago. And it's for a person I've seen a lot of his work, I've obviously known who he was my whole life. But I didn't know that much about him, really. And I'm sure you do because you went to school for film.
He's one of the reasons I got into it.
Yeah, you know more about him.
I went to film school because of him and Lucas, man.
Right. So, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's almost like a default at that point,
Yes.
Like, those are the guys you look up to because how could you not?
Right.
Look at their work.
Anyway, you should watch that. Anyone should watch that. It's a great watch, especially if you don't know Spielberg.
It's just called Spielberg?
I think it's just called Spielberg. Yeah, and it's long. It's like 3 hours long. It's really.
I've been meaning to watch it.
It is great though.
Things have been busy,
and he really goes into these family dynamics, in his own life and how they're explored in these films. That's kind of the most beautiful thing about him. He knows how to appeal to the masses and to the highly critical.
Well, he's just so detail oriented. Like, I know we haven't really gotten into the plot of this film yet, but everything that he's having these characters do subtly is just something I feel most people don't even think about doing in a scene.
Do you want to get into it? Well, actually, I had a question.
Yeah.
Gangs of New York was filmed before this movie?
Gangs was shot in 2000. So Leo's younger in that film, even though he looks like older and big. Like, there's something about it. Scorsese has been talking about Gangs of New York since Taxi Driver. Like, it's been known this is a thing he's always wanted to do. People were just so focused on Leo's performance in that.
Well, so that's interesting because, those movies did come out the same year. I think Catch Me If You Can ended up coming out first. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the release dates of them.
December 20th.
That was Gangs.
Oh, so they're literally like at
the same time.
But people have been talking about Gangs and thinking about it since 2000.
This like mix up whatever happened in the studio system to make this to make these movies come out at the same time.
Spielberg wasn't even going to do Catch Me If You Can at a time and ended up doing it. This is right around the time he's just like, I see a story, I want it for DreamWorks. I know DreamWorks can do it.
Well, this is why Leo got to be Titanic was Leo's thing, and he had some Romeo and Juliet. He had things before, but two heavy-hitting films that he's great in. I definitely prefer him in Catch Me If You Can, but still big films, big, huge director, same year, leading parts. That's why
very different movies too.
That's why he is who he is right now.
I think I also prefer Catch Me If You Can a little bit more than Gangs, just reflecting on it. I think Gangs is just a little bit of a sloppier film, and I don't love his performance in it as much. I really like Gangs of New York. I really do, but there's a couple times when Leo just...
He doesn't feel old enough to play the part. We're not,
That's a common thread that we see with him for some reason, but there's something about Catch Me If You Can that's all about this 17-year-old kid that pretends to be 28 years old.
Yeah.
And at the time, Leo's like 24, 25, so it's kind of perfect. He's got his tiny... I don't know what's happening to his head. It's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Like, watching this movie made me realize, you've changed a little bit.
Yes.
Like, he's just like this tiny innocent, but he's still at that stage he wants to be a man.
Yeah.
And it kind of like works to his benefit in this
film.
film.
Yeah.
I don't even know that he knows he's doing that good of a job because he's trying to be that.
Right. Yeah. But it's charming. He's suave when he needs to be. He's not when he needs to be. He just kind of fits into that part so perfectly.
Probably another reason he for sure cements himself here is he overbilled Tom Hanks. In 2002, he's overbilling Tom Hanks, who's America's dad, as far as I'm concerned. You know, like, let's just hang out with him. And he gets to be this almost like whimsical sidekick character to the leading man.
Well, and it's kind of it's interesting because of who Tom Hanks always is to us. You know, he is, like you said, like America's dad, or he's just this sweet man. You know, he like
or a big presence.
But in this movie, because of who we're following, because Leo's character is the protagonist of this movie, then that makes Tom Hanks' character the antagonist, which is interesting to see him trying to thwart this plot. You know, it's interesting to be rooting for Leo and to be rooting against Tom, even though we know that...
I think we're rooting for both, and I think that's what's fun about it. Maybe we should get into the plot of this before we can...
Yeah, let's get into the plot. This movie's based on a true story about a man named Frank Abagnale Jr. who basically was able to change checks, give himself a lot of money, steal a lot of money, pretend to be...
He's one of the best con men of this
that's
time.
The word I was looking for. Yeah. He's one of the best con men probably in history. Cons people out of a lot of money, pretends to be a doctor, like kind of lives this unrealistic life.
And if you look up the real Frank, he's not Leo DiCaprio good looking. So you know that this dude was just amazing at talking, amazing at his craft. He charmed the pants off everyone.
And he figured it out.
Yeah.
He figured it all out. He was also living in a time where it was easier because people, I think, more so assumed the better in people. It was much easier. Like, you couldn't do what he did today.
Some of the point I think he tries to make, though, is 90% of your personality is defined in your look and how you present yourself to the world. Yeah. Because people didn't question anything.
No.
And the ones that did question it, he had a good answer for why.
Anyway, so this movie's kind of about him on the run, him, job to job, from con to con. And Tom Hanks plays a member of the FBI who is actively pursuing this trail that he's leaving behind. They're playing a game of catch. And
that's the movie.
That is the title of the movie. Just such a fun watch.
And I think what it more so is about, doing all these jobs and trying to do all this stuff and build confidence in himself and find his way in the world. There's this undertone of wanting to fix his family. He wants to fix his family. At the beginning of the film, we meet him, his mom, and his dad, and it's this wonderful story that you can see has a really hidden, deep, dark side to it. His dad continues to tell this same story of when he met his mom overseas, how he brought her back, how they married. They have this huge romantic love story, the best love story you've ever heard.
Right.
And underneath it, there's these lies, and they're not really that in love anymore, and he's having money problems. Maybe he's being audited by the IRS. He's kind of dodging almost every real thing in his life, and he puts on that whimsical side of life to his son, like, things aren't so bad because I can turn him around. And that's how he starts to see the world. He learns how to lie from his mom, and he learns how to charm from his dad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
then he just uses that and says, well, I want it back. Right. So I'm going to get it back for us.
Right, exactly.
And that's what all of this is about. It's weird. It's a very childish way of dealing with your problems because he's still a kid. He's 17.
Yeah, he is. And when he is presented with a problem for the first time, not the first time, he knows there's a problem beforehand, but the problem of your parents are getting divorced, that's presented.
Before that, he accidentally
walks in on his mom.
He accidentally walks in on his mom cheating on his dad.
Yeah.
We don't see anything.
No, but we get that's...
Both people in the room play it off like nothing happened.
Also, just because we forgot to mention, spoiler alert, just all over this. No judgment. This isn't like, we're not going to ruin... It's not like a Luke, I am your father moment in this.
Yeah, I can't stop your podcast app, so keep doing what you want.
Yeah.
It's a free country.
There's a fast forward by 10
Now everyone's just going to listen to us at double speed. This is get this over with.
But when he's presented with the big problem of this is actually happening and we all know,
his world falls apart.
And he has the fight or flight instinct, and he chooses flight. He runs away, and he does anything he can to try and bring that family back together. And also he's just trying, for a while, he's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And
because his dad gives him a checkbook. You see early on that his dad is a bit of a con artist himself. So much so, he won't even rent a suit for his son, go through these ridiculous motions to charm someone so he can just get things for free. He can get handouts because he doesn't know how to do things the right way.
Right.
So Leo's character, Frank, learns that really early on and starts using that in his day-to-day life, even before the problems. He's going to a new school. He's a new kid at that school, and they start picking on him. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fuck with these kids a little bit. I'm the substitute teacher.
Right.
Guess what? That's such a great scene.
Such a great scene. Yes.
So you see that he's already thinking that way before he's presented any problems.
Well, and even then when he does that, I don't even think he knows what his power is yet.
No.
You know, that's like a surprise to him.
Like you see when the real substitute teacher walks in and
Right.
he has to like, well, how do I deal with this? And he just decides, you know what? That's weird. They should have called you. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Such a dick move.
I know.
That poor old lady.
I love that he gives them homework all week.
I love when you find out, like, this is the best part about that for me, is that you think that he's going to get in trouble at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then you find out he's been doing this con for weeks.
Yeah.
And not only was he, like, conning the whole class, he took under his wing that he was going to be a good teacher. He found a good, like, field trip for them to go on, and he really took the class seriously.
Yes. He was planning a field trip. I forgot about that. So good.
Frank's the type of dude that it doesn't matter what it is, he's going to master it.
Exactly.
Because he wants everything that comes with what looks like he knows something. Because that's always what his dad has taught him is important.
Build a facade. He can
be whatever he wants as long as it works.
As long as he knows the general idea and plays it with confidence.
So now that we know that, let's go back to the divorce.
Leo runs away, or Frank runs away.
So I don't remember if his dad gives him a checkbook or if he steals it, but he has a checkbook and he starts to survive. He starts trying every trick and he's going to every bank trying to cash just a blank check without any account at this bank, seeing if it'll work.
And he's just literally trying, seeing what works, seeing does this charm work? What happens if I talk to this girl who looks like this?
And none of them are working.
Yeah.
He had been successful as the teacher. He had been successful in other things, but for some reason now he can't get it to work.
And sometime around this time, he sees the airline pilot, the kids looking up to him.
It's this very beautifully shot slow motion scene where these two pilots get out and all these stewardess get out, and it feels like, I know there's not, but it feels like there's paparazzi everywhere.
Yes.
It feels like everyone
like
is
they're
looking
celebrities.
at them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And this would be the 1960s, so maybe they are kind of like celebrities for the time.
Well, especially with Pan Am, which was, that elitism that followed that. They were well respected. That was a big time career you could have,
Yeah.
And
so Frank decides, I'm going to be that. I see how people look at that, and that's what I want to be.
Well, the only thing he's trying to really do is he's not actually trying to pretend to be a pilot. He's only trying to pretend to be a pilot to cash checks. So that he looks better, so that the hotel gives him a room, so that he's that respected individual.
And then he finds out the hotel can cash even more money than the bank would, or whatever.
And then he finds out they'll cash him at the airport, so he goes to the airport and he ends up getting on a flight, which, that deadhead or whatever, it makes him able to travel. It makes him able to kind of leave one area, go to the next. And
it's great because Leo's so good in these earlier scenes. Like, he's going to be great later on. You're going to see him kill it as a con man. He's going to just take on things over and over and over again and be amazing at them. But this is when he's first starting to do it for real. And there's these little moments that kind of give away he's a kid still that are super fun. Like when he first tries to get his checkbook out to pay out and get cash back. He can't get it out of his jacket.
Yeah.
He kind of gets stuck. It's not smooth. He's a fucking kid.
Exactly.
He goes and he's a deadhead on the plane.
Doesn't know where this chair is.
He starts talking all this jargon and he's super good at it. He's fucking flying with the pilots and everything's great. He sits down and the stewardess is like, you want something to drink? And he's like, milk?
Right.
I'm 28 years old. It's just moments like that are so Spielberg and they're so just
make your
junk
heart
food
warm
for the soul.
Yes. He has so many of those moments in the film. And you know what is brilliant? What's so beautiful to watch is it's not just his journey as a person becoming a man, or becoming the person he's pretending to be, but it's how much smoother he gets, how close he figures it out. And they don't do it really in the way you would expect, in a series of a montage where the
it's
montage,
almost like this film has 4 or 5 acts to it.
It's
because they take the time.
They take the time. And because what you would expect is okay, he's really bad at it. Then a montage where he learns it all, and now he's really good at it. But it's not that way in this movie. No. It is you do see him figuring out, I can take the Pan Am sticker off this airplane and put it
Isn't
on
that
the
a
check.
great image when it just all those planes in the bathtub
Yep.
when he finally figures that out? It just you instantly click that this man, as soon as he knows something works, he goes double down,
Yep.
triple down.
Yep. And he's learning in ways that any way he can. So he's pretending to be like writing for a school paper so he can interview a pilot. He's flirting with the bank
that
teller.
he's like actually a pilot, and then you find out he's still going back and pretending he's in high school, learning from that dude, asking more questions still. And he's just like, don't you have enough now? I've been talking to you for like 3 months.
Right.
He will not stop until he is the best at something.
Until he figures out the whole thing. And it's not about like figuring out the job, but it's figuring out the con. And that's what he becomes so good at. And even later when he becomes a doctor or a lawyer, or pretends to be, he's just watching these TV shows. And what is true is that while people in the hospital or in his doctor's office might be able to tell he's not a doctor pretty easily if they looked into it, but no one else would, because he's acting like they do on TV.
Right.
Which is how everyone thinks doctors are.
Leo is just, he kills it in every sense.
So fucking good.
It might be my favorite performance of him because I didn't know he was this good in it. Maybe it's just because I've just watched it and I haven't seen this movie a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's phenomenal.
It's the most fitting Leo part I think I've ever seen. Don't get me wrong. Wolf of Wall Street is a masterpiece and I will watch it all the time.
Yeah.
But there's something about him in this movie that's like, this is a role he was made to play.
Yeah, in this movie, it's almost like I forget I'm watching Leo because he just is that. Whereas in Wolf of Wall Street, which is my favorite Leo performance,
but you're excited to watch Leo act.
I'm like, yeah, Leo, get it. Like I'm on his side, But seriously, you're watching the craft, you're watching the mastery.
You're watching the dude work.
Yeah.
Instead of this, you're watching a character.
I forget. Yeah, I mean, I know what he looks like, so I'm never completely forgotten. But as an actor, appreciates really good acting because I hadn't seen this in so long. I didn't know he was that good when he was that young.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I think that's why this film is secretly kind of important. Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking of good acting, though, you don't get anywhere in this film. Just Leo, you have to throw Tom Hanks in there to really bring it all together.
Oh yeah, and Tom Hanks, I mean, he's an American icon, obviously, but he's also one of the finest actors of movie history.
And he's coming off of being a really, really big star. Not like he's ever lost his stardom, but he's just done Castaway and Road to Perdition and all these big, like, he is a presence in the film. And here comes this like whimsical little dude from Boston.
Right.
He likes doing the worst job in the FBI.
Right.
He's a wet blanket and he's kind of a buzzkill.
You know what I just thought of though?
Like, it's just not something I would have cast him in at all. And it's amazing.
It's so good. And his accent is perfect.
He's
a master.
funny.
Yeah. He's a master at voices. But what I just kind of realized is this movie is really super, super similar to Wolf of Wall Street. Not in
is it?
Tone, not in style, not in tone, not in...
But the rise.
But like, I mean, it's about a guy who's cheating the financial system.
Yeah.
With an FBI agent chasing after him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really what Wolf of Wall Street. Like Kyle Chandler plays the Tom Hanks role in...
I think it just shows that this is a common thread in American history.
Yes.
This is the American dream almost.
Right.
Yeah, this is Wolf of Wall Street if things work out, I guess. Because at the end of the movie, he's so good at everything that he does at counterfeiting checks and faking legal documents and getting around things that the FBI hires him.
Yeah.
And it just shows that if you're good enough at something, it doesn't matter.
Right.
In America, you'll get a job.
The FBI hired him as part of his prison sentence.
Right.
And then it said in like the end or before the end credits, it said that he actually is paid millions of dollars by big companies to come in and do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So he's a very wealthy man.
Turned it around.
Yeah, and he's made it work for his advantage. Which I mean, Jordan Belfort also did in Wolf a little bit. He's still a scumbag. I don't think he's a good person like this guy is. It's just kind of an interesting thing that
I think in Wolf he realizes what he's doing. And in Catch Me If You Can, he doesn't because he's just doing whatever he can for his parents. It's not about the money.
Eventually he knows.
It's
not about the money, but he eventually knows he's committing crimes.
By the time they finally meet face to face, Leo knows he's in trouble. And he instantly goes into con man survival mode, and he plays it, oh, thank God you're here. We've been on him for weeks. And he pretends to be Secret Service, and it's great. And Tom Hanks is just believing it, and he's like, all right, great.
Right.
I've been on this guy for months.
Right.
Oh my God, this is such a great relief. And in that moment, you watch Leo's face, and he's like, oh fuck, I don't want to get caught.
There's a great moment where Leo's walking out of the room, and we're watching Leo, and we can see Tom Hanks behind him, and he says, "Wait, do you want your wallet? Don't you want your wallet?"
Yeah.
And you see Leo's eyes in the camera where he's letting us know, "Fuck, that's it. This is it." He could very easily go like, "Oh yeah, give me that." We play that off. But he leaves this trail, which he knows
that's what
is
my
bullshit.
point is. I think as soon as he meets him, and as soon as he feels that rush, he's never felt anything like that before.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I want to fuck with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So much so that every Christmas, I didn't know this, but I guess it's secretly a Christmas movie, so maybe we watched this a little early.
Yeah, I know. So weird. What I love is when he finally catches him in France.
Yeah.
And Leo has just gone crazy. He's just like, and he doesn't seem to care that he kind of thinks he'll get out of it, I think.
Yeah. Because he always has.
And then when Tom Hanks says the thing, like, I've got 25 French, police officers outside, and we're thinking the same thing as Leo, does he? Really?
Yeah.
It's Christmas Eve.
I mean, Tom Hanks has kind of been just like this dude that he's all talk. Mm-hmm. He wants to be this successful dude, and he's just not.
But you do get that moment when there's no one out there and they walk outside, and Leo's like, really? I did this, and there's no one here.
Yeah.
And then they come up. For a second, we think that Tom Hanks is playing his game. And he kind of realizes the only way I'm going to get him is if I do what he does to me.
And I think Tom Hanks almost cares for him a little bit at this point. And he's like, I don't want this to get too big, so I can't be the one to bring you in. This is almost what I've been building my whole life up to, is to capture you.
That's quickly, we're quickly taken aback by his honesty, because they do show up. The police officers, the French police officers are there. They're just not right outside the building. But we do think, oh, he's playing his game. He knows how to work him. He knows how to be him. He knows how to do this thing. But then you're like, no, he's just an honest, good man. For most of the movie, he's not respected at work. People think he's crazy. They've never heard of anything like this. They didn't even know that the bottom of checks meant anything.
There's kind of this running joke that most of the dudes on this task force, they've been either punished, they've done something bad in their department, so now they have to go be part of the tax bureau.
Right.
And Tom Hanks' character is so excited to be there, like it's everything he's ever wanted.
Right.
He's got that great joke in the car, and he's just like, knock, knock, go fuck yourselves.
Right.
And you can just tell, like, he's the type of dude no one fucking likes.
Yeah.
But there's something about Frank that he just understands.
Yeah.
And Frank kind of understands him too.
Yes, they see the world differently, but they understand each other.
So Frank's a pilot, then he's a doctor, he gets married. He meets Amy
almost
Adams' parents.
Married.
Or yeah, they don't quite get married. He
married.
gets engaged. Martin Sheen's there for some reason.
It's not a role that doesn't matter, though.
It's not a role that doesn't matter. I just don't know why they go with Martin Sheen.
But they gave him that moment at the dinner table. That's why I think, like, when he almost gets caught right there at the dinner table, like, oh, I messed up. I went to the same college as you. I didn't go there. And he gives him.
It gets worse.
What was
and
his
worse
dog's
and worse.
name when he says that?
The dog was dead.
Yeah. And he lets it go, but you don't think he's going to, because you think he's found it out. I don't know. That was a great moment to me, and I love that Martin Sheen was there for that. Well, I mean, it doesn't bother me. Martin Sheen's amazing.
It doesn't bother me. I wish there was more going on for that character.
Sure.
Why would you bring him on?
It was so funny that in this movie that all of these like lovers that he had all became like huge stars. Yeah.
He dates Jennifer Gardner. He dates and gets engaged to Amy Adams in this movie.
The flight attendant is
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks, and then Ellen Pompeo.
Oh, I'm thinking of the bank clerk.
Yeah,
that's
Elizabeth Banks, and then Ellen Pompeo was the
You're right.
Flight attendant.
Just huge cast.
Yeah.
That's what it is this film. I feel like we don't see films like this today anymore, where you can have great actors in every role. Don't get me wrong, there's always place for new, fresh blood, but there was something really refreshing about this film, watching everyone just be great at their craft together.
Yep. We will see that this spring in Avengers Infinity War Part 1. There's gonna be like
I don't know if Catch Me If You Can and Avengers Infinity War are the same.
There's gonna be like 60 A-list actors in that movie.
You're right. You're right. There's going to be a lot of people. I don't know if they're going to be the best at their craft.
But 60
There's
of
going
them.
to be some great CGI.
Yeah. You know what I just remembered?
What?
This was made into a Broadway show, and I saw it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I completely forgot.
So not a hit.
It was a hit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it on Broadway, and that's why this thing kind of felt familiar to me. Because I know I saw the movie, but it was a long, long time ago. And I just remembered. I mean, I didn't particularly care for it. Aaron Tveit was the lead, was Leo, and then Norbert Leo Butz was Tom Hanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like, I mean, it was a great experience. I didn't care for the music that much. I think that's why it's not like super, super well known, but I think it did well. Norbert won a Tony. I remember that. But I totally forgot about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made
You
this into
wouldn't
a
even
show.
think this would be a big enough hit for them to. I mean, obviously it was a big hit.
That would translate better to Broadway than most movies they're trying to make into Broadway shows.
Absolutely.
Like, this almost feels like a Broadway show that was turned into a film. Like,
Yep.
it's just of that romantic time.
Yep.
Well, now that we've bored you with all of our thoughts, let's get into some questions.
Questions.
The laws of the land. Let's hear them.
All right. Favorite line or moment?
Honestly, I think it's not the best part of the film whatsoever, but I really love when Leo catches his mom for the first time. Maybe it's not even the first time. We don't really know.
Mm.
It's about the blocking. Leo retreats and goes to the couch. The man that is just this weird stranger presence in his house towers over him the whole time. He switches to the other seat to take dominance of his home.
Mm.
His mom is fumbling to just get his mind off of it. You're not going to tell your father. Well, there's nothing to tell, so there's nothing to say. It's fine. Do you want some money? I'll make you a sandwich. And she's saying anything to get out of it, and he's just internalizing, and it's so, so quiet. And he finally gets up and he just says, I thought you were going to quit smoking. I don't know if it's a great moment for the film, but it just, that was the moment that cemented me in. It's either that or Elizabeth Banks' laugh. Because her laugh's amazing.
Still sounds the same.
What about you?
For me, it really, so many great moments that I loved, but I think the one that really stays with me is right at the end of his running moments where he finds a new family there that he's not part of. It's not really that moment, it's the next moment. The cops pull up and Tom Hanks' character pulls up and everyone's there and he's just like, take me, get me out of here. Like, get me away from, I don't even have, there was a dream that this morning when I woke up, I thought I still had, in that I could still have my family. And then on the plane, I found out my dad died. And when I got here, I found out that I have nothing.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go to jail. Yeah, it's rough. But that moment was just when he gives up, and that was really,
Comes to it.
yeah, because he's still running, even on the plane, even after he finds out his dad died, he's still running. He's still trying to get this like semblance of this life that he thought he once had or deserved or whatever. He gives up right then and it's over. Yeah. So that was my favorite line. How did you like the soundtrack?
The soundtrack to this film is wonderful. I love this soundtrack so much. So it's John Williams, and I would argue that this is a score that you would never anticipate from him. I think at this point, he's done the Harry Potters also at this point, so you know what he's going to do. He's got that sci-fi, epic, huge, thematic score that he always brings to the table. And then here comes this small, light, fun score with this. It's almost like Spy versus Spy. It's something out of a different time, almost James Bond-esque.
Yeah, totally.
It's so playful, and when it needs to be, it's a little sad.
Yeah,
and it really, really helps push everything. I love this.
Oh, I do too. I totally agree with you. It has the way that John Williams is able to bring about emotion through music.
It's a new way. We haven't seen him do it before.
We haven't seen him do it, but he still does it just in the same John Williams way, in that he's still able to successfully do it so perfect. I mean, he's the best we've ever known at that. And this movie, even though it's totally different, you don't get the grandiosity of Jurassic Park or of Harry Potter or of Jaws or
there's no like
E.T.,
memorable theme.
No. But it
does its job.
It's perfect.
The next question is, who does the Oscar go to if you were giving out Oscars?
Many, many nominations, but the Oscar for me would go to I was going to call him Sir Christopher Walken, but I think he's American. So Christopher Walken. If he was British, he'd be a knight.
Yeah, he's from fucking Brooklyn, man. Have you ever heard him talk?
I just wanted to say Sir in front of his name. There's so many great performances. I'd love to give one to Leo. I'd love to give one to Tom Hanks, but no one hit me as hard as Christopher Walken. Every time he was on screen, it just it tears you to pieces. The way he brings himself up for his son, the way that he crashes down when he realizes
such
the
a
reality.
sad, tragic figure
Yeah.
that I think sometimes we all forget that Christopher Walken's an amazing actor.
He's amazing.
Because he's doing so much comedy at this time. And
Mhm.
to this day, he's still doing mostly comedy because that's who he is now. But he's got fucking chops.
Oh, yeah, totally. I was going to see if he got a nomination. I don't know who got nominated. He did get a nomination. Best Actor in
So
Supporting
he
Role.
actually was nominated for this film.
Only 2 Oscar nominations total.
Wow.
One is him, and the other is John Williams. I also forget that back at this time, there's only 5 Best Picture nominees.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if it were today, this would absolutely be nominated.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 10 possibilities. I mean, it's definitely worthy of that. I don't remember. I know that obviously Gangs of New York was a contender that year, but I don't know what else was. 2002, that was Chicago. I think Chicago won that year, so Chicago was there. I'm just glad that the one person that I gave the Oscar to actually got nominated for an Oscar.
So look out, Chris. We'll send it in the mail.
Who do you think the Oscar goes to?
I think he doesn't need our piece of paper, Oscar. He'll just be like, Deer Hunter, are you fucking kidding me?
Did you know, and I don't know if this is true, I've never actually seen it, but I hear that he throws a ballet move into every one of his movies that he's in.
Funny
Is that
story
true?
is he used to be a dancer.
Yeah, he was a ballet dancer.
He's an amazing dancer, actually.
I know.
Yeah, well, there's the scene in this film where him and the mom character, they dance for the son while they're telling that love story.
Oh, right.
The wife spills the wine and shows that there's an imperfectness to the relationship, and the
Totally.
dad, his instant reaction is, fuck that. We're going to dance our problems away.
Right.
I forgot he was a dancer.
Yeah, he's a ballet dancer. Crazy. Anyway, so who would you give the Oscar to?
I thought about giving it to Walken just because he is so good, but unfortunately, he's not in it as much as I would want him to be.
Sure.
And what's interesting is the real Frank talks about how he never actually saw his dad again once he ran away. So those scenes in the movie are they're there.
Yeah.
But you can see why they're there. They're so important to their relationship and to understanding the tragedy of losing his father at the end. But I think I'm going to give it to Leo. And I know that's...
I was close second for me.
I know, but the more and more I'm talking about this movie, I'm just realizing how underrated his performance is in this.
Putting Titanic aside, and I don't want to say this because I haven't seen everything that he did before Titanic. You know, I've seen Romeo and Juliet. I've seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape. But this movie's on his shoulders. This is a major picture. Regardless of other movies that he's led in before, and Titanic was obviously a major picture as well.
But I would argue he doesn't fully lead that film.
No, I would argue that as well. He's definitely a major force in that movie, but this is his movie.
But he's like a teen heartthrob in that film.
Yes.
And in this, he's an actor.
This is his movie. I mean, this is his
And it's
story.
so important because he almost left, man. After Titanic and all those things, he thought he was just going to be this heartthrob, and he had trouble with that. So it's important because he came back.
And thank you, Leo. We're going to send you an Oscar in the mail, too.
I mean, he got one for the out of all of his fucking roles.
Really? I mean,
The Revenant?
I'm not going to shit on that movie, but
It's not a bad movie at
No.
all, and he goes
It's just
through hell.
Wolf was the one.
But it also could have been a 20-minute short film.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a lot of tree shots.
Yeah. He was great in it, obviously. He's been great in a lot of things, and he should have got Oscars for a lot of things.
But we gave him the
before
one he
that
finally
one.
deserved.
Yeah.
This piece of paper Oscar. Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. Enjoy your Oscar.
That's right. We have another beer now. So another important question we ask from time to time, does it have The Rock in it?
No. I don't see a world where Spielberg's going to use The Rock.
If Spielberg and The Rock teamed up,
Unstoppable.
I don't know what they would do, but I know it's going to be my favorite movie that year.
The Rock probably should have played E.T. Which character would survive longest in a zombie apocalypse?
I think for sure Tom Hanks. I
Yeah.
think Leo is definitely crafty, but
Crafty.
there's still something about him that's a loose cannon. Tom Hanks kind of plays responsibility in this film. Leo's like that reckless, like, oh, that's what I want to do. And Tom Hanks is that conscience in your head, like, no, you have to do this. He's going to weigh those options. And he's going to be like, no, I can't do that because I'll die.
Right.
So, fuck you, zombie. Go fuck yourself.
Fuck yourself.
Like, he's just going to talk at the zombies. Like, he's just going to bore them to death because he's just so fucking boring.
Well, also I think Leo would survive. It's clear from this movie.
Is that
Leo,
your pick?
No, he would survive a long time, but he would eventually get caught.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks wouldn't, because he'd figure him out. He'd learn how to speak their language.
Yeah.
He'd learn how to find him. He'd learn how to kill him. He'd learn how to eat.
But if the zombies ever told him they weren't zombies, then he
would not be alive.
So I guess there's that.
But that's a stretch.
That's a very small chance.
Yeah, the last question.
This is a weird one for this movie, but I think it
so the last question we always ask is, what's the best my early 2000s moment?
The only telling thing for me is there's a couple jokes from time to time that feel maybe not as period correct, but the big thing for me is the cinematography. It's Spielberg's same cinematographer he's been working with all through this time, Saving Private Ryan, Minority Report, and it's got this very glowy, grainy, almost like glossy look to it. And it doesn't really feel like it matches the film perfectly. It does fine, but it's not perfect, and I think it's more the style of the time than it is perfect for this period-based movie. He doesn't do that look anymore.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's gone. Well, I don't really look at movies through that lens generally. I don't see things that in that way. I'm generally looking at more of the performances.
Because there's nothing in the story that's really a early 2000s.
It doesn't have
moment.
one to me. I mean, in terms of what I watched,
because the story's timeless.
It's a timeless story, and I think if anything, it more just shows me, how far we've come in so little time. Looking from the 1960s when the story took place to today, or even to the early 2000s. Where checking accounts were pretty new, and
Isn't it amazing? There was a time when you could give a check to somebody and it would take days to find out if it was fake or not.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Or there was 12 the 12 different big areas that those banks would go to those 12 areas. Only banks would accept checks from their own bank. Yeah. They wouldn't accept checks from different banks.
We don't know you. You don't have an account here.
Right, exactly. And also, you just couldn't get away with that today. I mean, I'm sure people are still doing it, but not in that way.
They're working so much harder.
Yes.
And for way less of a payoff.
Exactly. It's just a great story. It's told beautifully. It's acted perfectly. If you haven't
Leo's
seen it,
young as
he
fuck
looks
if
great.
you're into
He doesn't
that.
even have dad bod yet. So, I know you weren't a fan.
I was not a fan.
But how many Cali Creamin' Vanilla Cream Ales would you give this movie out of a 6-pack?
I'm going to give it a 6.
I kind of thought you were going to go the other way because you wouldn't want this movie to have any of these. I thought you were going to go reverse.
You're right. This movie's so good it deserves no beers because why would I do that to this movie? This movie's so nice and charming and warm and it just wants to give me a hug, and this beer wants to just punch my taste buds in the dick.
All right, well, I'm just going to go on the opposite side of that. I would give it
vanilla beer.
I really like it. I had this for the first time a couple months ago.
There's a Cruising California V-Wagon bus on the front.
I love it.
It's the wrong vibe for
If you
me.
like good things, you should try this beer.
I do like good things.
I'm not being paid to say that. I actually believe that. So I would give it a 6-pack because I like this beer and I love this movie.
At least for the holiday. If you're thinking about
it's a great
movie,
Christmas movie.
If you haven't thought of a good movie to watch for Christmas in a while, you're sick of watching The Grinch. Santa Claus, The Grinch.
How
Elf.
could you ever be?
This movie's for you.
This movie is for you. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my early 2000s for this week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you liked this show, if you wouldn't mind just going on to iTunes, wherever you get this podcast, and just rating it, writing a review, that really, really helps us out. Please subscribe. That helps us out in terms of getting into
We've loved everyone that's come
ratings.
on board so far. It's been great.
And if you'd like to talk to us, you can hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Daniel Wargo.
I'm at Will. I almost said at Daniel Wargo.
You can hit him up there too. I'll pass it along.
And I'm at Will J. Gabriel on Twitter.
So thanks for joining us this week. And if you'd like to join us next time, what movie are we going to be doing, William?
We're going to be watching Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is the emo-est most early 2000s of the Potters.
Whoa, we're gonna
Everyone's
get
got jeans
super nerdy
and
next
super
time.
long hair. Feels like a good one to go revisit.
Yeah, so we'll be
'Cause
doing
no
that
one's
next
seen
time.
Harry Potter
It's
before.
almost a brand new movie.
I'm sure by the time the podcast comes out, they'll be remaking it, so it's fine.
So anyway, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Be safe, and have a great time. Hey, William,
Yeah?
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Start running.
No.
I'm gonna catch you.
I can't run right now. You know I'm